Okay, recording started. You guys, we're just gonna get into this because I could sit here and wait for people to get in, but there's no point in that. There's no point. We're here, we're ready, we're excited. You guys, you do not understand. I am freaking out. I made a post earlier that Cara is my Justin Timberlake of interviews. I have like a goal in life to meet Justin Timberlake, and this is about as far as I'm getting. So I'll take it. I'm so excited. I have been following Cara for quite some time. Greta, who's in this page, she said she thinks she introduced me to you, so I should bow down to her for doing that. Cara is a blogger. She started as a blogger. I'm going to have her share a story a little bit more, but she started as a blogger. That's what she got inspired and passionate, and that created all of this. She's written so many books. That's what we're here for, is her next book that's coming out tomorrow. We're going to talk about that. She has a podcast that is absolutely amazing. I don't get ready without listening to it. Now she's an entrepreneur. I mean, she's always an entrepreneur in that sense, but now she's an entrepreneur where she's selling stuff. She has a new clothing line. You guys, she is unstoppable, and we need that energy. We need her to feed us all of that. So I'm going to let you take over. I do have a ton of questions, so we'll lead through this like interview mode, but okay, let's talk about you being an overnight success. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about and your
I love the term overnight success. Every overnight success is 10 years in the making, and I'm literally been at this for 10 years, and I feel like I'm just getting started. So it's definitely like, I love that you brought that up right away, because I feel like in your business, especially in direct sales, people see a lot of success around them. They see fast success, and they start to feel like there's something wrong with them. Why am I not growing as quickly as everybody else? What's wrong with me? I'm not good enough. So is that something that you feel like, kind of goes on with your
100%
team? Yeah.
So I feel bad bragging about this, but you guys, I already got to read the book. Tomorrow, and I've already got to read the book. So I already know what this is loaded with. So with the fact, okay, let's say this, I'm probably going to mention it like 10 times, but the book is called Like She Owns the Place. You can get it on Amazon, and I'm basically her PR rep today. And so you can get it on Amazon. It comes out tomorrow. You can get it immediately, and you guys need this. So yes, we're going to talk about things in the book, but you need the book on top of that to take this to the next level. But the guilt, the comparison, I think those are the and the being authentic. I think those are the three we're going to spend the most time on in this call.
Awesome.
Let's start with guilt, because let's go back to your story, because if you could just give a little breakdown. I know I said all of your jobs, but just like a breakdown of like MTV to now.
Yeah. So I started as a blogger, like you mentioned, 10 years ago. I won't go through the whole story, but I was essentially inspired by a glass of champagne. So I started calling my blog the Champagne Diet as a joke, but it was catchy and people liked it and I liked it and it made sense. Champagne really quickly became this metaphor for me for living effervescently, for celebrating my life. It had less to do with, actual champagne, and just really kind of became this lifestyle for me. So I started blogging. I was in a full-time job at MTV. I was not happy. It was not a cool job at MTV. It was a totally boring job in digital ad sales, and I just dreaded it. And I felt like I had to just find something else. It wasn't what I wanted my life to look like at that point or ever. And I was like, okay, what can I do to still have something like a little side hustle? This is before everyone even used the term side hustle. It wasn't like a thing, but I was just really expressing myself and using my blog as a creative outlet. From there, I noticed I was connecting with women. Girls would email me or like tweet at me and say, I read your latest post and I really loved it. It resonated with me. And I thought to myself, well, how can I turn this into a job? Like maybe there is something that I could do and be able to get paid to do it. And I had to really basically like invent my own dream job, so to speak. And I keep reinventing what that looks like. And I decided at that moment to become a life coach. So while I was working full time, I was going to school to become a coach. I was also writing my first book from my cubicle and kind of building this brand without even realizing I was building a brand. Just showing up online, doing what I love to do, writing, being creative. I did that for 6 years while I was at MTV. I was at MTV for 8 years, but 6 of those 8 years I side hustled and I was building this thing on the side. And then in 2014, I decided to take the leap and to leave that all behind and just to go full time into my business. And it has been the absolute best thing that I've ever done. And I feel like I've just kind of exploded since I released that whole kind of energy block. I don't know, I'm sure a lot of you guys on this call have full-time jobs, and everybody has to go at their own pace before they can fully move on. But I really recommend like just getting laser focused on what you love to do and just being passionate and figuring out a way to make it work, because my whole life changed when I walked away from MTV. And I now do this. So it's like, I mean, I do a million things. And like you mentioned, I won't go through all the job titles, but I think the biggest theme is that I continue to reinvent myself, and I just continue to do what really lights me up and makes me feel good.
Yeah. Someone just commented her hair. You guys, her hair is part of her story though. So let's go. I wanted to go straight into guilt, but since someone mentioned your hair, let's go straight into authenticity. Let's go.
Yeah.
I just wrote before we jumped on, do you think that authenticity helps you grow your brand, and how?
Oh God, yeah, totally. I mean, that's your brand, that's what your brand is. Your brand is you. You know, even if you are representing a product or you're, you know, selling something, like you're still your brand. People are going to connect with you because they love who you are. So, you know, having the courage to be authentic and to really do the things that make you feel good, and really be willing to separate yourself from the pack and say, you know what, I don't really want to do it that way. I don't really want to, you know, talk about what I do in this sense, in this fashion. I want to do it in a different way. I want to try something unique. I mean, for me, that's been everything. When I first became a life coach, I looked around in my industry and I was like, I just don't see anyone in this world that I connect with. Like it's boring. I'm not getting it. It doesn't feel good. Mm-hmm. I want to see a girl, you know, like me out there talking about, you know, how to live better and how to empower herself and all these things. So I went out there and I just became what I wanted. I was myself. So I think a lot of us get caught up in like kind of, you know, replicating other business owners or thinking that there's some like blueprint to success, when in reality, like you are your own blueprint to success.
Yes. And you just have to keep trying different things and trying and trying and trying. And okay, so this might be a weird question, but when someone is trying to be more authentic, maybe they just know, it's hard for me to say this because I'm so like what you see is what you get. So I don't know how to like not hide that. But like if someone has been hiding behind maybe filters or hiding behind something, what's the first step to take to get to becoming authentic?
You know, I think we all know where we hold where we hold ourselves back. And we all have that thing we do, whether it's filtering our face or not, you know, saying what we really truly want to do with our lives, or not asking for what we need in our lives. So I think it really just comes down to looking at that, being really honest with yourself, and then taking small action steps. As a coach, I'm a huge believer in baby steps, because I think that's what lets us build our momentum. When we look at a big picture and we think we have to change everything, we get totally freaked out and overwhelmed and we change nothing. So thinking about like, how can I make these really small changes in my life? What can I do? What is one thing that I can focus on just for this week? And I don't have to do anything else, but just take one action step. Maybe it's posting a selfie if you've never posted your photo on Instagram, or maybe it's doing a Facebook Live for the first time, even if your hands are sweating and there's 2 people watching you, you know, but doing that one thing. And then that creates a vibe. It creates an energy. You start to build your confidence because you're like, you know what? I just showed up for myself. I never showed up for myself before. Now I'm doing it. Now I feel good. Now I want more of that feeling.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love that. That reminds me of just like another random quote, was just like, keep the promises you make to yourself. So I like how you like show up for yourself. Just keep who are you showing up for? If you're not, you have to do it for yourself. I love that. I recently did a little survey type thing because I was doing a specific training, and I found out that a lot of people in this business, I was doing a training and I was like, I'll teach you anything. I'll teach you whatever you need to know about network marketing. And I figured out that the main thing was confidence. And as I'm reading your book, as I'm reading about confidence also, because you do talk about that, and we'll talk about that, but the guilt that comes back in this, and I know I'm not a mom, but so many people on here are moms, and the first thing I could think of is the kid guilt of like, I'm not working, or if I work my business, I'm not with my kids, instead of like, I'm working my business for my kids, and the whole guilt situation. What can we do to shift that? How do we change that?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Guilt is such a big thing, you know, for women. I've worked with so many women. Thank you. My husband brought me a glass of wine. The best. No guilt in that. So for me, like, you know, seeing women come to me with all different types of guilt, whether it was mom guilt, for example, that's a really good one. I do want to touch on that because I don't have children either, but I've worked with so many women who do. And the one thing that they all say to me is that I feel badly about working and doing what I love to do because I should be spending time with my kids. And then they're also frazzled and stressed out and tense and not happy because they're not making time for themselves. So their kid is getting a version of themselves that is not the best version. It's not the happy, joyful, blissful, relaxed mom that their child needs. So if you can kind of look at the long-term, vision for your life, and your kids want to see you happy. They want to see you feeling good. And I think, guilt comes up for me in so many different ways. Like if I'm such a workaholic. So in the past, guilt would come up if I wanted to take a day off, or if I couldn't respond to every message I got on Instagram or every email, and, realizing that I am one person and that my cup needs to be full before I could, give to anybody else has been.
How'd you get over like messages and dealing with that? Like what was your action steps to get past that?
So the first step was realizing that I was depleted and I was drained and I physically couldn't do it. Like I mentally, physically, I just had no energy left to do it, and honoring that for a little while and sitting with that and realizing like, this is not working. Being on a hamster wheel is not going to work for me. So what will work? So what I did then was set boundaries and tell myself, okay, this is how I'm going to allow myself to be communicated with. So I changed my phone number. I know that's very drastic, but that was something that I chose to do recently because I had the same phone number for probably 15 years. And people that I had met 5 or 6 years ago all had this access to me. People that I knew, people that I didn't know, was mixed in with family, mixed in with people I might have met at a networking event. So for me, a very clear boundary was that I had to change my phone number. And I reached out to the people, who I was going to give it to. And this is the people who I wasn't giving it to. I sent them all an email and I said, I hope you understand, I've been dealing with a lot of overwhelm. So now I'm moving my communication to email. If you need me, just reach me here. I check it a few times a day. So understanding the situation that you're in, where is the guilt coming from? How is it making you feel? And then what boundaries do I need to put in place to change this and to make this better? And then also reflecting a little bit on how you feel. Like I take some time now and I go, okay, that was such a great move because I feel more energized. I feel better. I feel more in control of my time. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. But Greta just wrote, she's on my team also. She said, if my old number hates me, I can't even imagine yours. So she just changed her number for the same reason. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's a lot, and I think we all look at our phones. That's a big thing. We should definitely touch on this. Like the phone culture that we live in, everything's connected. Like my phone I have notifications turned off, but somehow they still get in there. And, Facebook goes off and Instagram, and then there's text messages, and we wake up in the morning and like one of the first things most of us do is look at our phone. So we have to be responsible for what we're taking in and for the boundaries that we have in our lives. And I think setting a boundary is what brings you more confidence because you have the courage to say, this is what I am now available for. This is what I am no longer available for. And I'm setting a new standard for myself. And that in and of itself, just being intentional about that is a game changer.
Yes, 100%. Speaking of waking up and looking at your phone, I make it a rule. I do not do that. I wait at least 30 minutes to an hour afterwards. I do housework. I'm like, I need to feel like something.
Smart. That's very smart.
What's your routine like? Because we all are, you too, we're all in this field where we have to hold ourselves accountable. We have to be the self-starter. We have to be a self-motivation. Do you have a routine you follow to stay on track? What do you do to stay on track? How long did it take you to develop that? Because I know I've been doing this for 5 years. I'm still switching everything up.
Yeah. So my first thing that I do in the morning before I touch my phone, before I get out of bed, is I do my gratitude ritual. It's my daily gratitude ritual. I think of 3 things that I'm thankful for. And those 3 things usually turn into 5, sometimes 10 if I have time for it. And that really sets the tone and puts me in a positive state of mind before I begin my day, because I believe that when we focus on gratitude, we have more things to be thankful for. What we focus on expands. So that's my first and foremost, my first step. Second thing that I do,
wait, really quick. I'm sorry. I'm like such an interrupter, but I'm just going to keep going. I can't not. How did your life change when you started doing your gratitude?
Oh my God, huge, like major, major, major changes, because what we typically do, what our default setting is for most of us, is to go to a place of negativity. I'm tired. I don't want to go to work. I feel fat. Like we have all this crap that we tell ourselves, right? Like that's always the default setting. So gratitude snaps you out of it. So for me, being in that space like completely transforms the way that I look at the day. I'm just thankful, just being thankful to be alive, just getting up in the morning and saying, you know, one thing for me too, that I feel like I notice a lot is like the way I feel in my body. I have no pain in my body. I feel good in my body. Like that's a big thing for me. If I got good sleep that night, I'm thankful that I got rest. There's always something that we can think about, always something we can focus on.
I love that. So then after that, how does your day continue?
So then after that, like okay, so one thing that I did, and I highly recommend everyone do this if they feel comfortable with it, but it was a game changer. A couple of years ago, I stopped watching the morning news. That was big because we all know stuff is crazy right now in the world. It's always crazy. It's extra crazy right now. And if you get too caught up in that story, and if you get too caught up in that drama that the news does bring us, because the news is, you know, there are commercials, it's for ratings. Watch any news channel and it's all about sensationalism. Cutting that out of my life was like huge, because even if you're not paying attention, even if it's just the local morning news, it's all bad stuff. It's like who got shot, who got killed, who's this, like what accident was there? Like, do you really need all of that information before you've even had a sip of coffee? Do you have to know who got murdered like in the town next to you before you've even had a chance to like set an intention for the day? So that was a big one. I made a rule in my house. There's no news allowed. My husband knows. He watches it on his phone if he wants to watch it. I actually get the New York Times delivered to my door. And if I want to flip through that, I do. If anything major is going on, I can just kind of like scan, you know, CNN, make sure that I'm informed, right? Because we don't want to be totally ignorant to everything going on. But that was a big one for me. So what I do instead is put on music, and I light my candles, which I have them lit. They're basically lit all day from like morning to night. And I put on music, and that's my thing. I love music, and it inspires me, and it makes me feel good. It puts me in a high vibe. And then I slowly ease into my workday. But I usually set up like a little power mantra for myself. And you know, you've read the book. I have power mantras in every single chapter. That's something that really helps me because it kind of allows me to become focused on a specific intention for the day. You know, so my power mantra for tomorrow is book launch day, you know, so my mantra may look something like, you know, I will remain, you know, I choose to remain creative, inspired, and in a place of abundance and gratitude all day long today. You know, it could be something as simple as that. Yeah.
Yes, I love that. It's that easy. Katie, who's on this call, she came across a challenge recently that was like, write out your like a manifestation 55 times for 5 days in a row. But I like just picking one and like just throughout the day reminding yourself, and especially your book launch day, you're going to want to keep the positivity. You don't want to like go to any negative. I love that. I really love it. Okay, so your book talks a lot about comparison, and I think as women, we're already we're already starting off on the wrong foot, but then in network marketing and entrepreneurship, like it just takes it to the next level. I wrote the quote out. I wrote, this quote cracks the code. When you have mastered yourself, you're naturally going to celebrate other women. You're going to celebrate their beauty, their success, their accomplishments, and that's just going to make you guys like, I'm currently, I know you're a Gary Vee fan. I'm currently listening to the Crushing It book. And in there, I'm just like, I totally just lost the train of thought, what I was going to tell you about that. Cause I was like totally thought about you trying to get on the call with him, and I didn't know if that went well. I like totally went back to you. Oh gosh. But in the book, what the heck? Okay, we're just going to skip that. It was probably good. But anyway, let's talk about comparison. Let's just talk about comparison. Because it was good, whatever. Oh, well, we'll stop.
It'll come back to you. It'll come back when it's supposed to. Yeah, comparison's huge. I mean, like, I almost feel like She Owns the Place should be the book that everybody reads before Girl Code, because Girl Code, I talk a lot about comparison too. And really what I wanted to address in this book was how comparison disappears when you learn to focus on everything amazing about yourself. And when you learn to really, truly not just accept yourself and say, okay, I'm okay with myself, but love yourself and find those things about yourself that you are so damn proud of that make you, you know, you just said, I'm full of energy. Like, I'm excited. I can be who I am. Like, that's who you are. That's your brand. That's what makes you, you. And that's a beautiful thing. We all have those things about ourselves, but they're not all going to look the same. And I think that's the key, is realizing that it's not about being like somebody else who's confident. It's about being you, figuring out what it is that you do well. You know, everybody shows up in a different way in their business, especially, right? life in general for sure, but in business, some people are louder, more energetic. Some people are softer, you know, a little bit deeper. You know, everybody does it differently. So figure out what feels good to you and what makes you feel good, and be that woman, you know, be who you truly are. And I think the comparison just starts to melt away. You just don't do it anymore. You're in a different place, you know? And if you do catch the thought creeping in, because it happens to all of us, it has certainly happened to me. You know, I will sit there sometimes and, you know, look at bestseller lists and wonder why my book isn't among other people, you know, who are on that list. And I'm like, wait a second. Like, number one, there's room for everybody. Your time will come, girl, and whatever, you're still rocking it and you're happy. And that's the most important thing. That's a whole other conversation about how we define success, but realizing that and moving through it and being able to catch yourself in those moments, I think is really, really crucial.
Yeah, I agree 100%. All of that's so good. I do, if I just keep losing my train of thought the whole entire time, because I'm like, this is terrible. Oh my gosh, comparison. Oh, I was going to say, it's okay if you like get inspired by people and you take a little bit here and there. I was doing a training over the weekend, and it was in person, and I always get worried about in-person ones because I like can't stay still in one spot. I walk around the whole entire room. My whole body moves, and I have long limbs, so it's just awkward and it's just weird. And so I told them in the last presentation that we had in person, there was a girl that took her camera and set it in the back of the room in front of everyone. She was like, I'm starting my presentation, but I'm putting my camera in the back of the room to watch myself, how good I do, and critique myself later. And I was like, that's brilliant. And she killed it. And she did so amazing. I was like, you're dumb for taking pictures because you're already amazing. So whatever. And so I think I presented before her, and I was like, oh God, I did not do it as well. And since then I've held on to that. And I told them at that training, you guys, if I would have shown up to be this like put together person, I think you could tell from this, I'm not put together. Like, I'm like energetic. I'm excited. I'm not like, I would rather lead with passion than professionalism. And so I was like, you guys wouldn't get anything out of me if I was trying to be this other girl and be this amazing, like, oh, Cara, all right, tell me more about your book. You're not going to get that from me. And it's not going to be, you're not going to get as good. Like, if I would have came on and did that, you're not going to get as good as
it's so true. I said this to my husband today. I actually had to do a podcast interview today, and the woman that I did it with was like the amazing, smart, brilliant woman, but totally opposite me. She had like a business suit on. She's like a money expert. And, you know, here I am, I come waltzing in with this like crazy looking outfit on, kimono, my hair's pink. And you know, she walked up to me and she went to like shake my hand, and I just gave her like a hug. And I was like, shit, maybe like, did I freak her out? Cause like, I don't know what she like, but I did it anyway. And I was like, no, I'm the girl that gives hugs. I'm the girl with pink hair. I'm the girl that uses a lot of exclamation points. I'm not changing who I am. That's what makes me me. And I think that is really the point of this book, is understanding that it is okay. There is no wrong way to be yourself. We have so much messaging coming at us as women. You know, you can look at book titles everywhere. It's like the top mistakes you're making, how to fix this, how to be better at this. And it's like, if we could just take a step back and really just embrace who we are for whatever that looks like, oh my God, we would like change the world.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I wrote down another quote where you said it would change the world, like things would change. I really actually wanted to look for that because that was such a good one. But yeah, like all of this, you guys, you just have to realize like who you are is enough. And if you're just, I'm a firm believer that if you're just trying to be better every day, you're going to get further. And if you have to do things like this, like you guys, I'm telling you, I'll be like completely open. I'm not trying to like kill the mood, but I was like in a very, very, very depressed state. I've made videos about how bad it was at one point. Whenever I lived in LA, it was very, very lonely. And I found her book, and that's when I started. And you guys, everything has changed. It changed since then. That's the first self-development book I've ever read. I thought it was all bullshit. Like, sorry, I thought it was all bullshit, but it isn't.
A lot of it is.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, right?
From the wrong people, yes.
Yes. Tell me, does your book, just because I have the Kindle version, does your book have the lines like girl code, or is it interactive?
Oh, yeah. So I'll show you. So this is like awesome. The cover.
Everyone's raving over the cover because I posted it a couple of times. Everyone's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, but it's really cool. On the hardcover, it's like workbook style in some sections. I don't know if you can see that, but like I have the power mantra and then space to write. And like, just with my training as a coach, like I understand the power in applying these principles to our actual life. And I love questions. If you guys have seen my book, Style Your Mind, it's a workbook. It is filled with questions. There's over like 100 questions in there. And I think that's how we really get to our own truth, because I could talk to you all day long. You could talk to your team all day long. We could say inspiring things, but until you actually take those things and implement them in your life, it's not going to make an impact. It's not going to do anything. It's all about action.
Mm-hmm. I agree. That's why I love the line. I love that. I'm so glad that's in it too, because that was one of my favorite parts. I was just like, I was in a different business at that time, but I was writing like teammates, like, okay, I need to work with this person, like whatever it was, you were like, okay, I'm realizing I'm doing this with this person, and you're just working it through. And it's so great, especially because, I mean, I know you were a life coach at one point. I mean, but not necessarily practicing with new clients right now, but it's expensive to have a life coach. So if you can buy a book under $20 and get, or however much it is, and get life coaching, you guys, I'll be completely honest with you. I have a life coach and a business coach right now, and it's $180 an hour. Like, it's a lot of money. So
it's a lot of money. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because that's like always what I've wanted to do with my work, is make it accessible. Like, my podcast is free. And it's like having your own life coach every single week to like ask you things and help you see things in a different way. Like, I've always wanted to make it accessible for women, any budget, any timeline, because I believe that this work is so important for us to do. And it really can change your life. It will change your life if you get intentional and spend that time doing it.
I agree. Okay, just two last things. Do you have any, other than being authentic, what are your tips? I know it's a little different because you obviously didn't grow your business with a network marketing company, but what are your tips to like expanding and reaching outside of your, not necessarily comfort zone, but your comfort people, and growing your network? Social media, probably mostly.
What are tips for doing that, you said?
Yeah, like any like basic, I don't know, anything that you have off the top of your head.
Focus on value, focus on adding value. I mean, that's always my main thing. I just saw a question, by the way. The podcast is called Style Your Mind. I'll just type it here so you guys, if you want to look it up on iTunes. It is, what was I saying? Now I lost my train of thought. Just adding value and constantly giving people content, like focus less on the product that you're selling. I'm sure that you teach your girls this too. Like, it's less about the actual product. The product is there and it's great and you love what you're doing. I actually have a new leg of my business that is network marketing now. I'm actually doing a program through Beachbody that I'm obsessed with. And the girl who, showed me it was like, you got to get an affiliate link. But the way that I do this, the way that I talk about that product, for example, is sharing my story and just giving people content. So whether you have an Instagram page or a Facebook group or a podcast or a blog, focus on what you're giving people. Give people a reason to come to you, even if it's just sharing inspiring quotes or talking about your day. People are voyeurs naturally. People want to see into someone's life. People love it when they show their house or their office or behind the scenes, or even you in your car. If you were to do like an Instagram now, I'm sure people would like love it because it's a glimpse into your life. Like, we all have so much to share. People are so curious. And I think especially if you can be open and honest as a woman in business, it's so rare that people are willing to do that. And I think that's why a lot of women have told me that they're drawn to me. It's because I do share when things do not go well, or I talk about the things that I've, quote, failed at, which I don't believe are failures. I believe they're all experiences, but I'm willing to go there. And we should all be willing to go there. We should all be willing to lift each other up and talk about when it doesn't always work out, when it doesn't look so glossy and beautiful and perfect. That's where we truly connect with each other. So if you can do that in your business and you can do that and get out there in front of people and just give them value, give them content, they will stick with you. Believe me.
And in order to do that, you have to be you. Like, I just want you guys to all just be okay with being you. Okay. I'm going to run through this really quick. You guys, Chapter 1, who do you think you are? Chapter 2, what we talk about when we talk about our beauty. I'm not sorry. I'm going to just run through them. Vulnerability is a superpower. Self-love, sabotage, and feeling like a fraud. Success is a state of being. Magic, the ego, your fantasy world. In conclusion, you guys, if any of this did it, like, it's still pre-order. Yeah. Can you still get it pre-order, or do you have to wait till tomorrow?
Yeah, you can still it's going to be, it's out in 3 hours, basically.
Okay.
Here. But July 10th is launch day, but like, you can go and pre-order it on Amazon now if you want to.
3 hours. Okay, cool. You guys, you have to get on. It's called Like She Owns the Place. Her name is Cara, Cara, Alwill, Leyba. And you guys, thank you so much. Thank you that beyond the fact of doing what you did, thank you for making a dream come true, because, oh my gosh, I just love you. and I hope you aren't creeped out by me now. I like get blocked.
No, I love it. Thank you so much. I'm like so grateful that you invited me on here and gave me the opportunity to connect with your team and everybody. And I'm just so thankful. So I really appreciate it.
All right. I'll give you a round of applause for everyone that was muted. Thank you so much. Everyone go get her book. If you don't, I don't know what's wrong with you. All right. Bye, Cara. Thank you so much for jumping on and you for taking your time out of your day. I know it's late there.
Thank you.
All right, bye.